penultimate round of the South African National Rally Championship was one filled with drama, from battles for championship glory all the way to extreme weather conditions. This race is a favourite on the rally calendar, and in 2018 it certainly didn't disappoint, as Eastval Motors and Lake Amuzi hosted round 6 of the South African National Rally Championship. The weekend of the 28th and 29th of September saw the motorsport spotlight move to the SA Rally Championship as round 6 of the exciting series took place in Secunda. The Lake Amuzi Secunda Rally formed part of the Amuzi Week of Festivals, and the event certainly fit in perfectly with the festive atmosphere that reigned in the Mpumalanga town. The Lake Amuzi waterfront formed the perfect backdrop for the main service park, where spectators were given the opportunity to mingle with the race crews. For those crews, a tough battle lay ahead, with varied terrain marking the opening stages around the town of Secunda. For most of the crews, the emphasis on day one would be surviving the first 4 stages unscathed. But the stormy skies over Secunda proved to be a harbinger of the tough battles and drama that lay ahead, especially at the head of the field. The rally was set to start at Eastval Motors, and there was everything to play for, as the premier R2N class lies in the balance with AC Potgieter trailing Guy Bottrell in the championship. But then again, this is Potgieter's home rally, which puts him as an odds-on favourite to take this victory. The penultimate round of the National Rally Championship for 2018 brings us here, Secunda and the Lake Amuzi event. It could well be the championship decider. The 2 most consistent crews on the tour so far have been Bottrell and AC Potgieter, but this is Potgieter's hometown, and this could well be his big win of the tour. After the first 5 rounds of the 2018 championship, AC Potgieter, along with co-driver Nico Swartz, sits a mere 7 points adrift of Guy Bottrell, alongside Simon Vasey-Lyle, who have bagged 4 wins in a row in their Toyota Gazoo Racing SA Etios. Whilst Richard Leake's bad luck throughout the season sees him lagging behind in 3rd. He too has a challenge, with Chart Conradi right on his tail, only 2 points behind, with 2 rounds remaining. If anything, the Lake Amuzi Secunda Rally offered a more traditional setup, with 4 stages on day 1 and a mammoth 9 stages on day 2. Concentration and smoothness were key to day 1's racing, with berms on just about every corner on the opening 2 stages, and navigators needed to be on their top game, as speeds were also set to be high. As it's been a relatively inconsistent season for the most, the penultimate round offered a chance to prove themselves and make up ground for the final assault on the 2018 championship.
Absolutely. For us, our championship is a little bit ruined with only scoring half points after super rallying and Broncospruit. But we still, we won this event last year. It's been a good event for us in the past, so we're really going to try and do well.
But the main focus must be on the 2 championship hopefuls, as the entire championship is balanced on a knife edge. Local lad, AC Potgieter, is hoping to take a win in front of his home crowd.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's a very difficult rally for me because it's my last chance to take my championships back from Guy. So yeah, we'll push quite hard and see what we can do to win Guy.
But it's never over until the fat lady sings. So we've still got a lot of Ks to do today and tomorrow, and hopefully we don't have to get to the championship on the last round. So I'm really hoping that we can win the championship on this event, and next event there's not much pressure on us. So we're looking forward to a good, clean event.
A very special Subaru Impreza has lined up for this race in the open class. Driver Rory Illand takes us through the car's changes.
The car's got a sequential box, got a twin scroll turbo, very, very fancy engine. Guy from ProDrive built the engine, Motec system, Motec management system, fancy Riker shocks, and I'm scared of the car. The car is awesome.
With the formalities complete, it was time to go racing. So join us after the break as we get tucked into all the dust and drama from day 1 of the Lake Amuzi Secunda Rally.
Adventure, fun and relaxation. Only an hour away from the East Rand. At Lake Amuzi, we have a variety of restaurants, a water park, the largest jungle gym in Africa, 2 hotels, self-catering chalets, a camping oasis and 2 golf courses within a 10-minute drive. Challenge your perception. Lake Amuzi and Mpumalanga. Your weekend awaits.
Hello and welcome to another installment of Crash and some more metal mashing, barrier bashing, bone breaking, glass smashing, rubber ripping, leather twisting, limb smacking, sporting action.
Next on Misfit Garage, Thomas strikes gold.
Check it out.
Whoa! We're gonna call this thing the Nugget.
And then he strikes out.
We ain't got no compression. These heads are going to come on.
And later,
I have no confidence in this motor.
Tom lays down the law.
So you're saying you don't want me to build an engine for you?
I'm saying if that's how you build engines, I don't want you building me an engine.
Can I say this is probably the dumbest thing we ever thought of?
Day 1 and 4 stages awaited the crews, with the first 2 stages right next to the N17 on opposite sides of the road. Stage 1 was a 26.9 kilometer gravel stage known as Kursi, while stage 2, Yanaman, was a demanding and twisty 12.6 kilometers in length. The rotational starts this season saw Matthew Vasilal get the weekend special stage underway, and along with new co-driver Matt Curler, they were the first pairing to tackle the fast and long 26 kilometers of Kursi, the gravel stage in their Yato Toyota Yaris. Richard Leake followed in the ATS Ford Fiesta, and 3 minutes later, Chart Conradi and Kes Naidu were next off. The winds started to pick up and the dark clouds rolled in just as the pairing of Matthew Vasilal and Matt Curler posted the opening time of 19 minutes and 18 seconds. This gave them the 4th fastest time on stage 1, whilst championship rivals Richard Leake and Henry Kerner's bad luck continued. The duo were forced to retire early in the stage due to an overheating engine, leaving them despondent as the 3rd spot in the series was now starting to look unlikely. But the 2 drivers fighting it out for the championship were at it yet again, with AC Podkita in the Lake Amuzi VW Polo setting the pace early on. However, his buffer was only a single second over the Toyota Etios of Guy Bottrell, leaving us with a taste of what was about to come for the rest of the weekend. The Swazi Cowboys Ford Fiesta of Jono van Veek and Barry White were at pace early on, with a 3rd place in the stage a further 16 seconds back, whilst Kurtzer and Greg Godrich in the Mazda 2 powered through the ever-increasing winds to finish the stage in 5th place. JJ Podkita and Tommy DeToy weren't left too far behind as they finished the stage in 6th, 5 seconds behind the Mazda. Stage 2 was the 12.64 kilometer Yanaman, which was tight and twisty. However, it was made even more tricky as the winds and rain came earlier than expected, making for some interesting times on the stage. The stage started under near gale force winds with the rain imminent, but there was a surprise in Class R2N as JJ Podkita and Tommy DeToy set the fastest time with a whopping 17-second margin over the overall race leader, AC Podkita, who finished 2nd on the stage. The big story coming in was that Bottrell and Vasilal had problems as they picked up a misfire in the engine, finishing 4th in the stage and losing a further 8 seconds to the hard-charging Polo of Podkita. 3rd fastest in the stage went to Jono van Veek as the Ford Fiesta looked to be in contention for a podium on the weekend, but there was still plenty of racing ahead for the Swazi driver. Behind Bottrell was the 2nd of the Toyotas in the hands of Matthew Vasilal and Matt Curler, who were looking to move up the order as the weekend unfolded. The overall stage win went to the open class Subaru of Rory Eland, who didn't seem to have too much competition, as Jonathan Sims and James Thompson in their Toyota Conquest could only muster an 11th place finish in the stage, showing the dominance of the Subaru Impreza. As the conditions worsened, the stage became near impossible to drive, as the thick black clay turned into mud and became extremely slippery. The only tyre choice now was to go full wets. The Eastval Motors Stage 3 was a 5.93 flowing stage, but not in these conditions, as it was becoming harder and harder just to simply stay on track. After a small misfire issue in the VW Polo of AC Podkita had been sorted out, he came back with his 2nd stage win of the day, and with it extended his overall lead.
We had a great stage until the misfire, but we're trying to sort it out. It's a pressure pump problem, so we'll see if we can just sort it out for us today.
Once again, Bottrell struggled with technical issues. After the misfire in the second stage, he picked up a gearbox issue in the third, where he finished 6th, a further 14 seconds back, leaving him trailing AC Potgieter by 22 seconds.
Yeah, we're having a tough go. We've had a misfire and then now the gearbox is broken, so lucky we got a 45-minute service. I'm not too worried about the weather. Hopefully it'll play into my advantage because it kind of levels the playing fields a little bit.
JJ Potgieter was keeping up his good form in the Ford Fiesta alongside Tommy de Toy as the pairing went on to finish the stage in second place. Jono van Wyk and Barry White again went into the top 3, keeping up their great run of form.
Today is a different story. I think it's working out probably good for us, and we're pushing hard as well. But yeah, I think it's working good.
In the classic cars, it was Natty Boyce and Johan Smit in their Ford Escort that held the class lead after winning 2 of the first 3 stages of the event.
The wind really, I mean, at one stage I had to turn the steering about 90 degrees to just drive straight from stage 1 to stage 2. So the wind was quite... It helps with the dust, but now we don't have dust anymore because we have rain.
The final stage for day 1 was a repeat of stage 3, but this time it would be run after sunset. The mad weather preceding the stage, however, turned it into nothing more than a slippery track, and unsurprisingly, the race officials deemed the conditions too unsafe, cancelling stage 4 and bringing an early close to the end of day 1.
Safety first, as always. We never take chances. Initially, we lost about 11 Ks on that stage initially because of a section of it being very wet, as well as being farmland and black turf. The surface is black turf, so I don't want the guys to get stuck out there. Yeah, that's the main reason.
So this is how the overall standings stacked up after 3 completed stages. AC Potgieter and Nico Swartz held a comfortable 22-second lead, that over Bottrell and Vasey Lyle in the Etios. The Ford Fiesta of Jono van Wyk and Barry White were 10 seconds further back in third, with Rory Eland and Tommy Kutsia in the open class Scooby holding on to 4th overall. JJ Potgieter and Tommy de Toy rounded out the top 5, but there was still plenty of racing to come. Very tricky end to day number 1 here in Secunda for the Lake Muzi Rally. Stage 1 was absolutely awesome. Everyone was trucking and running. It was a fast pace set out by the championship runners. On stage number 2, the wind started to pump. On stage number 3, the rain arrived, and arrived big time. Freezing cold, rain, pumping wind. So much so, in fact, that the race officials have had to cancel stage number 4. It was just too wet, just too muddy, and the conditions were not going to be safe at all. That draws to a close a very strange end to day number 1 here in Secunda. Tomorrow is going to be super busy. 11 racing stages, and there is still a championship to wrap up. Day 2 was a vast contrast to day 1 as the morning greeted the competitors and spectators with sunny, clear blue skies. This allowed the teams to work on their cars in a more suitable condition once they were back in Park Vermeer. It was all or nothing for the Ford of JJ Potgieter and the Toyota of Bottrell as they were looking to close the gap on AC Potgieter in the Lake Muzi VW Polo, who had the lead.
We have difficult decisions now to make, or rather to put dryers or wet tires on to see what's going to be the best for the surface. So yeah, we'll make the decision, and that's going to be a big impact on the race today.
With the championship fight so close, a win for Guy Bottrell and Simon Vasey Lyle would hand them the championship with a round to spare. However, a win for AC Potgieter and Nico Swartz would take it down to the final round. So Bottrell had it all to fight for. And on the other end of the spectrum, it's been a disappointing season so far for Richard Leek, and he told us about his woes from day 1.
Yeah, we were hoping to change our luck a bit, but it seems that's not going to happen this rally. Yeah, about 10 k's into the first stage, our engine started overheating. We stopped on the side of the road, the engine cut out, so we tried to look what was the problem. We couldn't find anything. And then about 5 minutes later, it started up again, so we drove another 10 k's and the same thing happened. Then we decided that's it.
Okay, so it's day 2 at Lake Muzi, the Secunda round and the penultimate round of the 2018 National Rally Championship. Yesterday was a short one. 3 racing stages scored, but it's very tight now at the top. Arcio Potgieter started the day with a 1-second lead. He ended the day with a 22-second lead. It's all on Bottrell now. Bottrell has to win today to win the championship. Otherwise, it goes down to the final round. Also, a great charge from the Scooby-Doo, the Subaru of Rory Eland. He's sitting in 4th place overall. That's an incredible drive. 9 stages remaining in the Lake Amuzi Secunda Rally, and the first one of those took the cruise back to where it had all started, the 26-kilometre test known as Kursi. Holding the overall lead meant it was AC Potgieter who would open the road for the rest of the field, and after the heavy rains the night before, he'd gone for the wet weather tyre setup. It was a bit of a disappointing start to day 2, as John van Wyk could only manage a 5th place in the Ford Fiesta, whilst the second Toyota of Matthew Vacy-Lyle finished a second quicker in 4th. After a quiet day 1, the Electra Thread Mazda 2 of Chris Kurtzer and Greg Godrich started day 2 emphatically with a 3rd place in stage 5. After sorting out all the technical issues, Bottrell and Vacy-Lyle threw down a huge challenge to AC Potgieter by winning the opening stage of day 2 in their Toyota Gazoo Racing SA Etios by a full 12 seconds over the V-Dub, diminishing the race lead down to just 10 seconds over AC Potgieter. A nervous start to the day for the race leader. In the open class, it was Ismail Sher Mohammed in the Toyota Yaris who took stage 5, with Rory Eland struggling to a 2nd place finish in class behind the wheel of his Subaru Impreza. The Eastval Motors stage 6, which was the same stage that was cancelled the night before, promised a stern test for everyone. Finding traction was the main challenge. The Subaru of Rory Eland and Tommy Coetzee came back with a stage win in the open class, but all the interest was now on the R2N battle between Bottrell and Potgieter. The stage was a short, sharp one, so any second gained would be like gold to Bottrell and Vacy-Lyle, and that's exactly what they did, as they went on to win the stage by a single second over Potgieter and Swats. Both drivers looked ever so smooth, yet pushing right to the limits of their car's capabilities. JJ Potgieter and Tommy de Toy were now in a groove, but they had their own battle for 3rd in the race with John van Wyk and Barry White. Potgieter and de Toy came out of the stage with a huge advantage and a 3rd place to boot. Troubles for Van Wyk in the stage left him way down the order in 8th place in the R2N class battle. They still had a 6-second lead over the Ford Fiesta of JJ Potgieter, so all was certainly not lost. It was another good finish for the Mazda of Kurtzer and Godrich in 4th as they started to climb the overall leaderboard. At the halfway point of the race, this is how the overall standings stacked up. AC Potgieter and Nico Swart still held the overall lead with a 9-second gap to Bottrell and Vacy-Lyle. Rory Eland and co-driver Tommy Coetzee had moved up to 2nd overall and trailed Potgieter by just 4 seconds. Further back, John van Wyk, JJ Potgieter and Matthew Vacy-Lyle were all in a close battle for the final step of the podium in Class R2N.
This week on Ignition.
Welcome back to the Lake Amuzi Secunda Rally, and welcome also to a fresh stage on the event. Stage 7 was called Billy, a flat 13-kilometre stage where competitors started in a huge quarry pit, and all the spectators had set themselves up high above the action, offering a great vantage point from which to enjoy the spectacular action. It was only a matter of time before it happened. Rory Eland took his Subaru Impreza to the top of the standings as he went on to win the stage overall and, with it, take the overall rally lead. But Eland was literally racing in a different class. In the SA National Rally Championship titled class, the R2N, the gap had just gotten smaller as another faultless display saw Guy Bottrell and Simon Vacy-Lyle take the stage ahead of AC Potgieter and Nico Swats. The margin was now down to 3 seconds, and the local crew was starting to feel the pressure. Shur Mohammed and Jordan finished the stage in 4th overall and 2nd in the open class in their attempt to reel in the ever-fast Scooby-Doo at the top of the standings. The dice between Matthew Vasilal, JJ Podkita, Chris Kurtzer and Jono van Veek continued, as the gap between the 4 drivers was still only 4 seconds on the stage, leaving us with a mouth-watering finish to the rally for the final podium position. The rest of the field ground it out as some retired, whilst others fought on to survive the rally. Another new stage on the rally took us to Churi, the 13.65 kilometre stage 8, which was flat and fast. The stage brought a few surprises, as the Mazda 2 of Chris Kurtzer and Godrich took the national class stage win ahead of Vasilal and Curler. But stage 8 also brought a new class R2N race leader, as Bottrell had eventually chipped away the time deficit to Podkita and taken the overall lead. But it was still tight as ever, as only 1 second separated the 2 crews as they headed back to the quarry for stage 9. As they returned back to Chori, now run as stage 10, the gap increased by a further second, and it left us with a huge battle to the end. So after stage 9, this is how close the fight for the championship really was. Guy Bottrell held a small 2-second advantage over AC Podkita, whilst JJ Podkita also closed the gap to Jono van Veek, now just 10 seconds in the fight for the podium. Every so often a single incident shapes the future, and if ever there was such a stage in the NRC that did just that, stage 10 of the Lake Amuzi Secunda Rally was it. With a slender lead, Bottrell and Vasilal needed to push their Toyota Gazoo Racing Etios in order to stay ahead, especially since Podkita looked on course to take another stage win. But rallying can be a cruel sport, and just when it looked as if Bottrell might take the win in Mpumalanga, this happened. And so, after everyone had exited the stage, the Toyota Etios of Bottrell was towed back to the service park, where the technical crew deemed the car terminal. The race was over.
Well, I'm a little bit shocked. We had great pace, and we managed to take the lead of the rally. And then, unfortunately, in the stage, we clipped a very small bank, and the car just stood straight up, and we went over. And I can't believe it. We've driven over much worse things than this in the past, and we've got away with it. But I just think it was the angles and the speed and everything didn't quite work out for us this time.
After the drama that unfolded in stage 10, there was still a job to do for AC Podkita and Nico Swartz, but the pressure was certainly lifted off. The Ford of JJ Podkita and Tommy de Toy also peaked late in the day as they went on to win stage 11, half a second ahead of Podkita and Swartz, whilst Kurtzer and Godrich went on to take 3rd place in the stage. JJ Podkita's win in the stage meant that Jono van Veek's lead over him had diminished even further as he battled to hold on to his newly inherited 2nd place in Class R2N. The time difference was now down to 8 seconds with 2 short stages to go. The open class and overall rally lead was still held by Rory Eland, even though he only finished down in 5th and 3rd on the final 2 stages. 2nd was now held by Siebrand van der Berg and Chantal Burrows, as a huge effort was made by the duo in the late stages to come back and claim 2nd place ahead of Sher Mohammed and Jordan, both in open class Toyotas.
I mean, this is what the Scooby is built for. It's built for this, The tight stuff are battle, the long stuff stretches legs, and she just gets going. With the anti-lag on, it is absolutely fantastic. Really, really quick.
In the classic class, it was a dominant race from Nutty Boyson and Johan Smit in their Ford Escort, whilst Ashley and Les McKenzie unfortunately failed to make it to the finish in their Ford Escort.
Yeah, we found our form this morning. From this morning, we did quite well. Our times were much better than yesterday's times. So yeah, we had a good event.
In the end, it was easy going into the final 2 stages for AC Podkita as he came across the line to take the national class victory and leave the championship fight to the final round with both drivers on the same point.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a very stressful round ahead of us. Ermelo is a very difficult rally, I think, so we will see what's happening there, and that will be the chance to win a championship.
A hard-fought 2nd place went to Matthew Vasilal and Matt Curler as they ended the day with a stage victory, whilst JJ Podkita edged out Jono van Veek for the final podium position.
Yeah, it's been a good rally for us. I'm riding with the new navigator, Matt Kohler. He's been very good. He's been on the notes the whole day or whole 2 days, so I can't complain.
So the day came to an end, with AC Potgieter taking the Class R2N victory in dramatic fashion, whilst Matthew Vasilal fought hard to claim second place ahead of JJ Potgieter and Chris Kurtzer. It was a day that could have been for Jono van Wyk had it not been for his poor final stage, seeing him drop down to 5th in the final classifications. With the day's racing coming to an end, it was the fastest man overall who got to spray the bubbly, whilst the national class winner AC Potgieter takes the championship battle to the final round of the season, to be run near Ermelo on the 26th and 27th of October. And that's it from the 2018 Lake Amuzi Secunda Rally. We'll see you all at the climatic final round of the 2018 championship.